Carter Cave State Park.
All right, guys, we're entering the passage here. It's pretty narrow. You have to duck down.
It opens up into a nice little room here. Pretty cool.
Some little stalagmites that are hanging down.
Here behind me we have the stalagmite organ. Used to be hit and it would make a sound up until about the 1970s and they quit doing that. This is a pretty nice cave, lots of texture. Carter Cave State Park.
Tennessee Caverns.
Hey guys, we just entered Carter Cave State Park. It's a pretty beautiful entrance. As you drive through it, you'll see either there's a river entering or exiting the entire length in. Very beautiful area. Nice places to pull off and stop on your way in. All right guys, we're here at the Cascade Caves. We're getting ready to do the X-Cave adventure, and then we're gonna do the Cascade adventure afterwards. All right guys, we're over here at the entrance to the X-Cave tour. A little bit of a staircase headed up there. Got a few steps to go up there. It's a nice little walking path. Bunch of rocks instead of real stairs, so it's pretty interesting. It's cool looking. Yeah, there's a pretty good drop off here, 100 feet or so.
Walking scooters out.
All right, guys, we're entering the passage here. It's pretty narrow. You have to duck down. It's about 20 feet long. Very cool entrance.
All right, you go now.
It opens up into a nice little room here. Pretty cool.
Some little stalagmites that are hanging down. Cool little section over here to the right. Looks pretty awesome.
Going down a couple steps here into an opening where we're gonna hear a little information.
So this thing that rises out of the ground is what we call a stalagmite. They always occur parallel to a matching stalactite above. Now, stalactites are among the most famous features that you think of when you first think of a cave. They're often depicted as falling down from the ceiling onto people when people are too loud, which I find ridiculous. But they always go parallel to each other due to the way that they're formed. So when a stalactite drips down its water mineral deposits, it's what allows these stalagmites to build up over time. The way to remember which is which, if you still don't remember it in your head, it took me a bit of time at first as well, is a stalactite hangs tight to the ceiling, while a stalagmite you might trip over. Now, before I go on any further about the formation, that is just a remnant of what was originally used for the original light system. Before we go into any other formations, though, I'd like to talk about the history of how this cave was formed. Has anyone heard about the formation of caves? So what happened was there was originally a shallow sea that cut across the U.S. and a lot of animals with shells in it, some extinct, such as the prehistoric ammonite, others we still have today, such as crabs and squid. These animals left their shells that then got compressed and crushed over this millions of years of time period. Now this created something that you might have heard of if you ever played Minecraft, called limestone. So limestone is something that is actually what the ceiling is made up of above us. That's all limestone. Now people and kids in particular often ask, can I see a fossil right there? Fossils are actually very rare in this cave because those fossils were crushed and that's what created the limestone in itself. So if they were fully intact, we wouldn't have the limestone. Now something called carbonic acid that would then was created when rainwater would fall and mix with plant and animal material would then drill into this limestone layer in a similar fashion to the way if you drink something sugary or bad for your teeth, it drills into there and creates cavity. And this is just acidic enough to create these openings and cavities in the limestone layer that would then eventually turn into this cave that we are now standing in. But it's not acidic enough to cause any damage to you. So it's acidic although it's acidic, and it's actually the same thing that's found in fizzy drinks that makes it fizzy, it's 10 times less strong than what's found in fizzy drinks. Now, does anyone notice this right over here? Can anyone say what type of food this looks like. I'll give you a hint, it's a breakfast food. This is what we call cave bacon. It's a type... Cave bacon is a type of flowstone formation. So flowstone occurs when water flows alongside these cave walls, and they come in many different shapes and sizes. This one is actually inactive, or in geological terms, dead. Now what this means is that it is no longer growing and no longer has water flowing alongside it, which is why it's not very colorful and is more dull and irony looking in color, because it's inactive and dead. Something that is very much alive though, if we look behind you.
Hey,
Now this type of rock occurs due to carbonic acid, that thing I mentioned that drills into limestone, that is dripping from this little white shiny area up here. These stalactites have carbonic acid dripping down here and creating this rimstone rock that has the staircase effect of thermal pools. Now, does anyone notice these shiny objects in here? These are small calcite deposits referred to as cave pearls. They're more common in these younger rimstone formations, as this rimstone formation is only a few hundred years old. I say only because once they're fully grown, they'll get into the thousands of years old. However, once they get to that age, they lose these cave pearls and their shininess, and they look more dull and gray. So we get to enjoy this for the next few years.
Alright guys, we're proceeding through the cave here. It's pretty awesome. There's all these stalagmites and stalactites. You can see some here to my left as I pass them. We're walking to the next big chamber. Some nice little openings, very narrow on the roof.
What the cave ice cream is. This is another type of flowstone, except this one is an active flowstone formation. What that means is that it is still growing and water is dripping down it. Not as much now, because as I mentioned earlier, it's dry, but when it's more wet, there is water dripping down it. So there's actually 3 different types of this flowstone or cave ice cream right here, each with their own flavor and mineral elements. This vanilla flavor you see right here, that is made up of calcium, while the strawberry variety right next to it is made up of iron. Finally, and most interestingly, the chocolate variety here is made up of manganese. Now, if anyone here knows anything about manganese, you will know that it does act as a natural laxative, which is why I strongly urge you not to lick it. This, I think, is a little brown bat. Bats are normally really rare in here due to the fact that the temperature fluctuates too much for them to have a safe, secure environment. But these bats, you might be wondering if this is a baby or a fully grown adult. The 4 bat species in here that occur in this cave, which are the big brown bat, little brown bat, tricolored bat, and the Indiana bat, those are the bats you'll see at Carter Caves, are all microbat species, meaning they only grow to about the size of a chicken nugget. So this is a fully grown adult. The fact is that they have a very high metabolism that requires them to eat about 3,000 to 5,000 mosquitoes and other flying insects each night. And this is why white nose syndrome is really dangerous to them, because when it wakes them up, it acts as a fungal infection that causes them to itch their nose and wakes them up from their hibernation. During hibernation, their heart beats about once or twice per minute as their metabolism is way low, but this waking of them up causes it to kick right back up again, and they require all that food when it's not available during winter. So they starve. All bat species except the Indiana bats are mostly solitary and aren't found in really normally big groups, except for hibernation. The Indiana bats are the exception. If you ever go to Cascade Cave, you'll see sometimes clusters of 10, 20, maybe even 30 of them in one group. They are highly social and the most numerous in that cave, which is why they're the most iconic.
Here is the little bat. And then over here we have the ice cream formation. Continuing along to the next passage, it's opening up pretty nice here, like a large area, easy walking path, tall open walls. This is a pretty nice cave, lots of texture.
Now, next to this flowstone formation is what we call the turkey head right over here. So there's a story behind this that Daniel Boone actually chased this turkey into the cave. And when he tried shooting it, it was so dark that he missed. And this scared the turkey so much due to it echoing that it actually turned to stone and remains here to this day. This is also more formally referred to as cave drapery. So, this is my personal favorite formation here. up and up.
Leaving this passage, we're gonna be walking through this little narrow staircase. It's like a castle you're going into. Pretty cool looking.
Breaking each other's caves and break each other's stuff.
Here we have the organ. Here behind me we have the stalagmite organ. Used to be hit and it would make a sound up until about the 1970s and they quit doing that. Continuing here through another passage. Almost made it out. It's getting a little dark for us. And we're exiting back to the surface to take a break for a moment and then we're gonna go back in to another spot.
Now, as we go down through the gates, I'm going to shine my flashlight to make sure everyone avoids hitting their head on these two hanging stalactites known as headache and migraine.
We're entering the new cave. Feel the rushing air coming out. Ducking here so we don't hit Margaret and Mary with our head. It's a nice little entrance, tall enough for me to walk through.
Oh, are you sure?
And Margaret got them. All right, we're continuing along through the passageway. It's opening up nice now. Looks pretty smoothed out. Nowhere near as jagged as the other side. Keeps going. Many layers. And now we're continuing to another little passage. We're moving it along. These are nice open passageways, easy to walk through. This is definitely worth the $10 that it costs to come visit it. And guys, we have looped back around to the X path.
So we're now back at the X formation, and I'd now like to take this opportunity to describe the 3 rules that a cave must follow in order to be called a cave. Now, the first of these rules is that it must be naturally occurring. And what this means is that a mine, a quarry, or just a random hole you dig in your backyard does not count as a cave. The second one is that it must be able to fit an adult-sized person. What this means is that it doesn't matter if they're standing, sitting, or lying down. As long as they fit, it does count. Now, the third one is that it must have parts that occur in total natural darkness. Now, there are only 3 places in the world where this occurs, the first being the bottom of the ocean, while the second is the bottom of the Amazon rainforest at night. This is due to the forest canopy being so dense that moon and starlight cannot reach below. The third one is caves such as these. So I'm going to turn off the lights so you can all experience this cave in total darkness.
And we're headed out of this section. That was total darkness. Here we have some green algae growing from the light. Pretty cool little walk through here. It's like perfect height. Wow, the roof is really smoothed out right here. Then you can kind of see where the water must have been flowing around at one time here.
The original entrance to this cave, these are all actually artificial. What this means is that these aren't actually occurring. You can tell by the fact that this rock here is jagged and sharp. If we want to take a look over here, we'll be able to see the original entrance. So that is a great question. The way they did this is originally there was a swinging bridge that connected from here up to the visitor center. Now that unfortunately did collapse in the 30s, after which they decided to install a 60-foot vertical dropping ladder. Now I love this cave, but I'm not using that. So after that, they decided, well, shortly after the state park was established here in 1946, they decided to get to work creating a new entrance. And that is where this opening comes in play that leads to nowhere. This opening right here, you can see the slots in the back of it. Those are the holes that they would have drilled to put the dynamite into to then blow this opening up. And they abandoned it halfway through for 2 reasons. The first one is that they realized it also would have overlooked this. So, the second reason is that they realized that if they proceeded to go through this, it would have led to a collapse right here, which is something that I don't know how they realized, especially since it was way back then, but very interesting. So what they did is they moved 3 feet to the left, and this time they were successful in creating an entrance that is now used to exit the end of these X-Cave tours. This leads to solid ground, so which was where
All right, guys, we're gonna be going up this cool staircase here. You can see on the walls where they blasted out the entrance and then installed these stairs for us to walk out.
Now, something I'd like to point out to you all is, I mentioned earlier that stalactites grow only 1 inch every 100 years. When they are first growing, they are called soda straws. These are baby stalactites, and there's a lot of them right over here, as she's pointing at. Those are turning 76 years old. The reason we know the exact ages of them is because we know when this opening was created, which is something that's very rare and special because normally they're much harder to date. Because this area is filled with these baby stalactites all around here and in the back as well, above you, we like to call this little room the nursery.
And we're exiting the cave now. That was
So
pretty
as
cool
we,
there.
Exit, we'll do one more thing and then we'll part ways. Before I explain that though, if you look if you look out here, you'll be able to see the entrance to Cave Branch. That is that cave we were stomping above earlier, well I was. There's a trail called the Cave Branch Trail that if you want to take it to go to the entrance of it, you can. Just don't go in the cave itself because that is illegal. Go down, we'll have to do this thing called a white nose station. What this entails is walking across a mat with detergent and water in it. And the reason we do this is to prevent the spread of white nose syndrome, something that's very dangerous to those bats we see in the cave, but is harmless to people and pets. And we'll just do this to prevent it from spreading from this cave that already has it to other places that don't. So you'll just walk across it once and that'll be it.
And that was the end of our cave tour. We are headed to the mats to walk on them to make sure our shoes don't transfer the white nose disease to other bats. Eastern red cedar tree here. This is a Juniperus Virginia. Very beautiful looking tree. And now we're off to go back to the entrance to clean our shoes. So guys, here we're gonna walk across this mat, clean our shoes.
Thank you everyone, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. We're gonna continue making some more cave tour videos for you guys. We have the Cascade tour coming up next, and that will be starting around 4 o'clock. So we have about an hour's worth of time to drive around, and we'll be back.